I was packing a gap. I had to pass an alleyway. Niggas knew I had racks. I was on my way home. I would go and count stacks. I fucked the baddest of hoes. I was broke, fat, and black. It must have been some type of magic. Put my shit down exact, bitch. Let's get it. Before Ghostface Killer, I had supreme clientele. Didn't know if I was selling it or they was buying it well. Ever since I was a kid, I've been a wishing well. Terrence Trent, Darby up the trenches where the fishes dwell. I like my girl's natural pussy, got a slight fishy smell. I don't need roses or flowers, cause I don't kiss and tell. She calling me daddy, I'm a different kind of individual. This is well documented. Fuck the plug, I'm the socket. I be shitting on niggas with my aura from the heart. Ask about me from Seattle to Florida. I mean Maine to San Diego. I don't rock off-white, bitch, I rock my own label. I got cash in the bank, cash off the work. I got cash in my pocket, I got cash on my shirt. Cash in the bank, cash off the work. I got cash in my pocket, I got cash on my shirt. I swear I've been real humble with you niggas, but it stops now. Niggas had that run, but it's time for me to pop out. Niggas had all of these summers, but still ain't out. They ain't want to give me my shine, they told me not now. Niggas can get all of the money, but still ain't got style. Niggas can get all of the guns, but still get shot down. Niggas got used to the top, but that's my spot now. I converted the coupe, I orchestrated from the top down. Now I'm in a convertible coupe with the top down. Before Corona, I had masks locking the block down. This ain't Balone, see they asking what I rock now. Listen, I got cash in the bank, cash off the work. I got cash in my pocket, I got cash on my shirt. Cash in the bank, cash off the work. I got cash in my pocket, I got cash on my shirt. I remember having a sack that was packed with some sacks. On the side of my hip, I was packing a gap. I had to pass an alleyway. Niggas knew I had racks. I was on my way home, where I would go to count stacks. I fucked the baddest of hoes. I was broke, fat, and black. It must have been some type of magic. Put my shit down exact, bitch.
Yes, yes, some new giant killer indeed. It is the Hood Mystic, representing the Mystery School, representing Columbian Exchange, representing Mama Mystic, representing the family. Peace to the family. I got this water. I ain't even took a swig of it. Your man's been working so hard doing a whole bunch of different things and referencing the things that I love. So that's a different kind of working hard. Shout out you, Showstopper. Shout out Chill Man for the donation. In reference to donations, let's just get this off the top. If you like this content, if this content moves you, if this content grabs you, feel free to, drop a donation on my head. In the description, I have a link tree. That is a whole assortment of ways you can support my content while supporting yourself. I suggest you become a Patreon member, not now, but right now, because very soon we will be doing a pop-up live. And the only people who have access to the pop-up live, where you can get a free tarot reading, would be my Patreon subscribers. Now, if nobody from the Patreon tune in and tap in, then we'll deal with the people. But essentially, the Patreon family is deep and is strong. So I want to give a special, huge shout out to the Patreon family for supporting me in my spiritual endeavor, reaffirming that the spirituality shit is real. Shout out to Jay-Z and Beyonce. Very tuned in and tapped into my message, albeit through different channels and things of that nature. Shout out to the Carters out there in them streets doing the real work. Shout out all of the baby mamas and the baby daddies. Shout out all the Jermaines. Shout out all of the Charmaines. Shout out all of the truck drivers. Shout out all of the CNAs. Shout out the real people who make this shit really crack and work. You know me, I'm from this little office space in the D, about to do this weekly Astro report. Now I'm trying to keep this thing weekly and provide serious information in reference to astrology. The reason why I do this is because astrology is very important. I was just a person, like I say, filled with dust, filled with crust. I had oil on my boots, oil on my socks. I probably had oil in my drawers. Long story short, I was very oily, very crusty, very dusty, and I started to tune in and tap into the stars. And because of that, I'm all glossed over, polished, and ready to deliver some dynamite information. So let's talk about what we'll be talking about today. We will be discussing Mercury station in retrograde. If you haven't tuned in and tapped into our pre-shadow retrograde video or our pre-shadow retrograde article, speaking of articles, the weekly Astro report is in long form written. So be sure to tune into that article because you might not want to hear the sound of my voice and want to hear the article and the sound of that little voice in your head. So Mercury, so tune in and tap into the article. The link is in the description if you are wondering or worried. Mercury has station retrograde. Today is the 27th. We will be discussing this. We will also be discussing the self-actualizing power of Venus trine Neptune. We will talk about the karmic tradition of Sun trine Saturn. The last time we got on this mic, we talked about Mars trine Saturn, and it's the same energy. Mars and the Sun are very similar in their expression. So what you have seen in the previous week with karma, in reference to karma, people be tuned in and tapped into energies. I don't know why they attract the karma that they attract, but please keep that shit over there. With that being said, we will tune into the Luciferic Venus square Jupiter because Venus is in her evening star mode. Meaning when Venus is in evening star mode, she is in the Luciferic mode. But what is Lucifer? What is Satan? We'll talk about Pambajira, which will be this Tuesday. So y'all better be sure to tune in and tap into the Hood Mystic channel this week because we got some dynamite content. Y'all really want to tap into the Pambajira video that I'm working on. I'm just working on it. I'm just simmering it. I'm just slow stroking it in the words of Pambajira. But this Tuesday, we go all the way up. But Venus square Jupiter, which takes place September 30th, is going to be applicable of the Pambajira wife of Satan energy. I mean, you could think, oh, it's so scary, it's so spooky, but have you done the inner work, the etymology, so forth and so on to get a deeper understanding outside of the spookism? That's what we're bringing forth to you today. So the whole gist of this conversation is going to teach you how to focus, how to balance your body, mind, and soul, to self-actualize and to tap into your fortune. But these things are easier said than done. So let's get into the minutia, the nitty-gritty of these astrological alignments that show up in the week or in the world, in the planetary alignment, so forth, so on. You know the vibes. So Mercury stations retrograde today. This is the sacrificial goat energy, okay? The sacrifice in reference to Jesus dying on the cross. If Jesus just died on the cross, nobody would celebrate him, put the chain on their neck, listen to Biggie verses, so forth and so on. You know how Biggie had the Jesus piece that everybody wanted. Nobody would have wanted the Jesus piece if Jesus just simply died on the cross. Jesus was a sacrifice, but essentially that sacrifice lived on, as they say, for 2,000 years prior to his death. So essentially he has, what is the word? Resurrected. Okay, so in reference to Jesus, Jesus is a symbol, not a person. So the Mercury station retrograde on the cusp of Virgo and Libra represents a level of resurrection. But we're in the realm of micro since we're like little humans. So we have these mini mythological moments. So instead of you building a makeshift cross or something weird like that, just simply release some bullshit, right? You know, like Jesus, what John 3:16, for God so loved the earth that he had given his begotten son. What is that deeper analogy? So if you love yourself so much, you love your children, you love your husband, what is the bullshit that's been holding you from actually loving them? And don't get on this live, don't listen to this podcast and say, hey, I don't got no bullshit, I'm perfect. Your spirits and your spirit guides, your ancestors and all your higher self would have not led you to this video if it wasn't some bullshit that you weren't supposed to sacrifice or to resurrect or to make holy, okay? These are simple things like your random sex habit, your random Percocet habit, your random things that you do that we're not going to speak on because we're not here to specifically pick on you. We are here to talk about the collective resurrecting of the spiritual mercurial energy that I've just been basking in, if you want to be honest. I mean, Mercury is the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland is the master gland, but we'll get into that into the Pombagira. And it's so ubiquitous when I talk about Mercury. It's in the vaccines. It's like in everything, bro. Mercury stations retrograde September 27th. All the way to the 16th of October. So let something go, make it holy, tune in and tap into it. But in reference to this whole larger gist of Mercury retrograde, it may seem like I'm just now deep diving into it, but the reality is that we've been here, done that in reference to Mercury retrograde. I did the pre-shadow Mercury retrograde, which is on my channel. Article is in the description if you want to tune in and tap into that. But it's very important to understand Mercury retrograde in its three phases: the pre-shadow, Mercury retrograde, and the post-shadow. Because if it wasn't the pre and post-shadow of Mercury retrograde would not be important. The most important parts is how you plan for it and what you do afterwards. It's like going on a trip. If you ever went on a trip and planned shit as you go, like imagine going somewhere and not having an itinerary. You wouldn't know what the fuck to do. So essentially, it's people in the group that know what they doing. They having a good time. Your ass just scrambling around trying to figure out what to do. That's a majority of people's Mercury retrograde, because people don't first understand what Mercury retrograde is. So check the article out as we get down into the nitty gritty, but I'll try to tune in and tap into what Mercury retrograde means. But trust me, you're going to have to read a little bit, do some work into understanding Mercury in its deeper intricacy. So Mercury retrogrades from September 27th to October 16th. We want to identify something that we want to let go, give away, or sacrifice. When you do this, make this action a sacred action so you can get closer to God, okay? So you can resurrect and they can sing gospel songs about your ass, okay? Because you have made holy. They thought you was dead, but you done came back because you done let go of your toxic habit. So in reference to Mercury retrograde, it's not going in reverse, first off. It's not moving backwards, secondly. Mercury retrograde means why it's so important, why it matters is because Mercury will be closer to the Earth. Now, as we know, or maybe we don't know, all of the planets are moving around in ecliptic, and they're like on a racetrack. And so along this racetrack, the Earth is a part of this racetrack. Right? The Earth is not the sun. So in reference to a planet going in retrograde, that is simply because the Earth is a part of the ecliptic and they're along this racetrack. On certain curves, so say for instance, the Earth has a closer curve to the sun. The Earth is closer to the sun, or maybe Mercury is closer to the sun, okay? As they approach the curve, Mercury is going the same speed as it normally goes, but the Earth is closer to it, so it has an advantage, or it looks like an advantage, like it's going faster. But when you have the outside, you have a wider turn, but it looks as if you're ahead of the person who is at the closer angle. But if you see it, once it goes to the straightaway, the person closer, I'm trying to explain, okay. So in reference to like a track and field, you have the 400 meters. Everybody does not start off at the same place because essentially the curves and the angles of the curves make each curve a wider turn. So the person who is at the furthest end has the wider turn, so they are at the beginning of the race. The person who is at the last lane of a track and field is at the very end, because as they turn, it's going to be a quicker turn for them. Very simple, right? So imagine Earth and Gemini are in the second and third lane of this track. If Earth passes Mercury for a small, like if it looks as though it's passing Mercury, it is not as though Mercury said, all right, y'all, I'm gonna turn around and go backwards. No, the Earth just moves past it. That's why it's retrograde. So, but if it is going backwards, or if it appears to be going backwards, that's because Mercury is closer. It has a deeper influence on the planet. Mercury, as a esoteric occult understanding, it results and reduces to your pituitary gland and your crown chakra. Your pituitary gland receives and gives information based upon your ability to be clairaudient, claircognizant, any of the clairs, St. Clair, East 99, Bone Thugs and Harmony, you name it, fam, okay? Whatever you decide that you are psychic, it relates to your pituitary gland. So you can tune in to higher celestial understanding. So Mercury retrograde is not a bad thing. It is almost as if ET is phoning home, sending vital channels and downloads. This happens 2 to 3 times a year, but everybody imagines that first Mercury is moving in retrograde, meaning that it's moving backwards. And then secondly, nobody even knows what the fuck Mercury is. Why would we be talking about Mercury if it wasn't something in your body? A powerful aspect within your body. What is the most powerful aspect within your body? Your endocrine glands. Your endocrine glands decide whether things are going to happen or things aren't going to happen for you. So in reference to your master gland, your pituitary gland, there are a lot of things that you can manipulate and control if you just realize who the fuck you are. But if you don't understand who you are, you more or less concentrate on what you do or what you have. And since you'll never be satisfied in what you do and what you have, you never give a fuck about who you are because it's such a difficult conversation it's easy to say mumbo jumbo. It's easy to say Mercury retrograde. It's easy to do an astrology video. But I could prove to you without a shadow of a doubt, and y'all been watching my channel, and y'all could probably prove to people without a shadow of a doubt, Mercury is the pituitary gland in the crown chakra. So the planetary configuration of why it's important is because, one, Mercury, the planet, is closer to the Earth. And that planet is attuned to what endocrine gland, what chakra, the crown chakra. So these are powerful times of realization, but you don't realize the crown chakra without realizing the root chakra. Stay tuned for that Pombajira video that's coming real soon, this Tuesday. So we put together some maps to help you kind of chart this serious time in reference to you, not in reference to online mumbo jumbo, a bunch of people online that don't know what the fuck they talking about because they ain't really study shit. They just looked on Google. They looked halfway decent, got one of them circular, one of them, you see everybody with them circular white lights and shit in their glasses and things of that nature, looking all sexy and stuff. Don't know what the fuck you talking about. I'm with it. But please tune in and tap into the mystery school. It'll help you with mapping out. You know what I'm saying? I can put out this information because I understand how serious it is and how it references some shit that I want to manifest in my life. I mean, so I'm going to speak to it and I'm going to follow it, but I can't make y'all do it. So this is the ritual. This is the time to tune in and tap in, to let go, to make holy, to get all sanctified and things of that nature. What am I meaning? Downloading from the celestial, higher celestial Mercury. So if you got a whole bunch of plans, whole bunch of shit that you want to do, what's going to happen? Things ain't going to happen the way you want to happen because you are operating from a space of lawlessness, a place of just ignorance to the whole celestial compounds of how shit work out. You think that everything is going to happen based upon what you think. You're not even going to tune in to higher celestial concepts. I say that this whole Mercury period, you need to chill the fuck out, slow down, tune in, and tap into the source so you can know what the fuck is coming up next. And then from the 17th all the way to the 3rd, you recalling and restoring and moving forward, because I'm telling you, once this Mercury retrograde period is over, none of us will be the same. In reference to Mercury retrograde, it's not just happening to you. It's happening to niggas in Argentina. It's happening to people in Brazil. It's happening to people in Botswana. It's happening to everybody on the planet. Mercury is coming closer to Earth, not you, silly. So, of course, it's going to affect everything and everybody. But if you're not able to understand Mercury in reference to, oh, it's time to activate the download for my sister planet or for my father planet or for my mother planet. Oh, wait a second. You thinking that you making it through life with your mental? Oh, dumbass. Like, come on now. You was out here drinking Pepsi, eating McDonald's, Burger King. You won't be thinking about shit. You got to tune into higher celestial concepts to know what's right or wrong. You can't never take the goddamn ego brain. Like, that is some arrogance and some idiocracy type energy, and we don't need that. We need to tune into higher celestial concepts and bring forward the downloads, because what's going to happen during this Mercury retrograde, if you are tuning into celestial concepts, you're going to think it's all about you. You're going to think that the whole earth revolves around you, just like people who study Western astrology think that all of the planets revolve around the earth. Bunch of silly people. Aren't they silly to think that the earth is the center of the universe? Like, they need to low-key get over themselves. We are influenced and impacted by all celestial activity because we are all a part of a system. And our understanding of where we are and who we are, like, it's very important to be present. Why am I saying be present? Because the sun is moving through the galaxy like a bullet. It's moving so fast through the galaxy that its exhaust has created a spiral of energy that has also magnetized other planets to follow behind the sun. And the sun is going so fast through the galaxy that it is keeping the planets in an orbit. And then you worried about what you gonna wear tonight for a dinner or some shit. Like, what the fuck do it matter? We are all on a fucking rocket, like a projectile going. You don't even know how fast shit is going. And ain't nothing that you can think about that's even going to come into comparison of this revelation energy that this Mercury retrograde is bringing forth with it. See, we have been in deep preparation of this energy of understanding ourselves. And understanding ourselves seems much more important than figuring out a bunch of dumbasses, excuse my language for a lack of better words, going on, moving on, okay? So I'm still in this Mercury retrograde energy. Mercury will be stationed retrograde on the cusp of Sidereal Libra and Virgo. So right before it gets knee deep into Libra energy, Nate Dogg comes in the building and says, hold up, word, right? It says, stop a second. Before you go into this Mercury and Libra, it's very important that you understand that Mercury and Libra is extremely serious. And you were just about to deep dive into it, imagining that you and Jermaine had made the best decision ever, right? But it's not about what you think. What you think at a conscious level, come on, I can only speak for myself. Sometimes I overcompensate because subconscious, I'm afraid of the energies underneath the surface. And I'm just the only person that does that on the planet, so excuse me for being frank. So in order to tune into my subconscious mind, I have to actually program it by the music that I listen to, the programs that I watch, the food that I eat, the energy. Like, if I'm not outside, I got to go outside. I got to enjoy the energy. I got to enjoy the sun. I got to do a lot of shit to stay in tune, to program my subconscious mind. And I can't imagine that there is an end to the shit that I'm actually doing. So sometimes you could be a mother, a father, working at a job, or doing some shit in life where you like, I wish I had a break. I wish I would not have this happen. Well, you need to stop and do something different, because essentially the things for which we are called on doesn't necessarily end. We should attack the things for which we are called on with so much positivity that we move into a level of presence. And it's hard to be present if we worried about yesterday and we worried about the future. We hoping that the future is going to give us some sense of relief, and then we're hoping that the past would change, but we can't change the past, and there is no relief for an inner turmoil. Okay? So you need to really get rid of whatever is holding you back emotionally, that's having you be in a space that, okay, I dealt with all of this information, I done read all of these lectures, I took all of these classes, but for real, I didn't do the transformation work. For real, I didn't see the power within myself. I seen the power within someone else. And that's never going to work out long term. Okay, so we're moving in the area of trusting in ourselves, so much so bringing us into a present state as Mercury gets closer. And as Mercury gets closer, we're tuning in and tapping into higher celestial concepts. And these higher celestial concepts, when applied, changes our life for the better. But if we're just in our own minds thinking Jermaine is the one, Jermaine is the one, Jermaine is the one, I want it this way, I want it that way. Hey Siri, can you play In Sync? Oh, see, she's really about to play it. I didn't say scissor, Siri. I said, hey Siri, can you play I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys on Spotify one time while I drink some water? She like, huh? While I drink some water one time, you gotta say the whole thing, Siri. These are vibes though, by the way. I'm gonna just do the open part. By fire, the one desire believe when I say I want. Basically, you think that life is how it was when you was in high school, but things have progressed to a point that it don't matter what you want. What you want is not going to get it through. Who you are is going to get it through. So as we experience these many changes during this time, it's very important to be present, take care of things one at a time. It's essential to relax, activate that parasympathetic system, family, find peace, do the things that you love to do, right? And then do the subconscious work. Prepare yourself for what you want to manifest. Make sure you're sleeping in a positive way. Make sure you're cleaning up. Make sure you're setting the intention through your action, through your speech, through all that you are, by understanding your pituitary gland, your master gland. It starts with being divine, but it's easy to say, but it's much easier to express once you do the chakra work. Once you activate the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, then your crown chakra is much easier. As we talked about in our Chakra Nova courses, the crown chakra is a result. So it's going to be a hard lesson to get just automatically as Mercury goes through its retrograde period, but shit. You could either be inferior or you could be superior. And chakra work is your gateway to being that. But, you know, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make a person realize that they ain't no fucking horse. They a spiritual being having a fucking horse experience. But I'm moving on. So how does one capitalize on this Mercury retrograde feeling and energy? Since it is at the cusp of Libra and Virgo, I'm going to break down the symbolism of Fortuna as being the symbol of cuspal energy of Libra and Virgo. So the first thing that you have is the cornucopia. You have the symbol for wheat, which ties into Virgo. And then you have the Virgin energy as the goddess or whatever. That's the female figure. And then you have the Lady of Justice representing Libra because she is blind. So justice is blind, love is blind, and also prosperity is blind. How many dumb people you know with a lot of money? How many smart people did you know that's broke as hell? You like me? me hood, I'm smart and I'm broke. You gotta be a psychic hood, right? And I'm just like, I do what I do. But how does one tap into abundance? Well, cornucopia, or I call her cornucopia, but that's not her name. Her name is Fortuna. Fortuna is a symbol for your energy or a major hack to prosperity. That blindfold is because she don't need to look at you. She don't need to look at me. She don't need to look at her mama. All she need to do is tune into herself. And once she tunes into herself, she becomes a self-realized goddess, and she understands that she is abundant. No, she doesn't sit in her ivory tower, go out to eat every fucking weekend with her friends and just act like it's all good in the hood. No, she takes her abundance and spreads it. See, that's the level of the goddess that y'all not ready for or prepared for. You're not given a lot just to hold it and to hoard it. You're given a lot so you can spread it, because in reference to where you got it from tuning into yourself. Now, the next point is, who'd you help? The next point is, who'd you level up? Or did you do it all for a personal energy? And as we get into the sun trine Saturn, what you'll notice is that karma rules. When I'm studying my Gnostic scriptures, I'm always thinking about my money this, my money that, and I need this money. And I'll start reading Gnostic scriptures, and they'll start talking about the rich man. You know what happened to the rich man, y'all? The rich man died. So what the hell you want to be rich for? Being rich is not going to lead to immortality. Having money is not going to lead to immortality. It's going to be the tool of your demise. So in our studies in the mystery school, we're taught to become like God, to give and to share. So understanding just the simple, like if you can understand the simple understanding of how to become like God, and the center of that is learning how to share, then this symbol of La Fortuna being the cuspal energy of Libra and Virgo, the realization of the constellation within a being that can be shown, you can have the abundance, you can have the prosperity, but what are you going to do with it? Are you just going to hoard it, or are you going to share it easily? You will always be given more than you can handle. You will always be given more information that can benefit just you. But if you do not have a modality to share, you are essentially not tuned into the actual function of sacrifice, to let go or to make something holy. If a person is specific with how they give, that person is considered a goddess. But if a person is considered, or this person is concerned with what they receive, that person is just waiting for death to happen. And I don't make the rules. I just observe how this shit goes down. So we're in the realms of Maslow's hierarchy. And where are you at in this? Are you still trying to figure out how you're going to breathe? Do you not drink enough water? Is your food not getting right? Do you got enough shelter? Do you sleep right? What kind of clothes are you wearing? Is you looking out here real dusty? Do you got a woman by your side? Do you got a man by your side? Is somebody caring? Is somebody checking on you? So essentially, self-actualization, you got a long way to go if you really think about it. Because I know in reference to the work that I put out, I make it seem like I just woke up one day and just was that guy. And I just been spitting hot science ever since. But the reality is, no. Took a long way to get to where I am today in reference to getting to a point of self-actualization. Self-actualization is a different level. And this is what's available to those who are in a space where they're not like acting like they don't need shit. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. See, a lot of y'all overlook these needs for ideologies that don't serve your needs. They just serve the person who is lying to you's overarching narrative. And that's scary territory. I'm trying to give you some real shit in reference to things that will make you psychologically sound. But a lot of y'all will forego safety, forego reproductive needs, forego love, forego esteem, but want to be Mr., Mrs. Leader on the internet, teaching people and helping people, but you wouldn't know how to act in an intimate setting. The most important level that you understand your spiritual powers, whether it be healing and aiding, is in your close relationships. Because if I was the type of person that was kicking girls out of my room, like I was some fucking rock star, but then acting like I could save you and help you, I couldn't even help myself. I got actual needs that I'm just foregoing because girls are just easily, free willingly giving the vagina up nowadays. And just because they giving the vagina up easily don't mean that you're supposed to take it. I know that I need somebody to hold me down every day. And I know that I know that I can't even manipulate that shit. I can't even make you even feel the way that I feel when it comes to relationships. It has to be a miracle to find a wife. Because most men are not going to find a woman that wants to be in a relationship with you. She wants you to be the person that she isn't. She wants you to be so strong and so everything that good luck, fam, with that. I wouldn't know what to do. I'm very fortunate and very privileged to be with a spiritual union, and that I know that spiritually we were supposed to be together and we were supposed to learn and do this alchemy work together and do this spirit work together. And that's a physiological need. So until I met my wife, until we bonded, until we became one, wasn't shit happening for me. Now, if you are on the other side of this and you find yourself super successful in the realms of self-actualization and you don't got nobody to rub your booty at night, hey, good luck. I mean, that sounds very beautiful. But I just never could get there. It's something about having that support. It's something about it. It literally provides a physiological need outside of a modern day ideology that I don't need a woman. I could just blow through and slow through a woman as easy as they come. Because I did that and it didn't work out. I wasn't satisfied at the base, at the root chakra level. It's something about having a long-term relationship. And I guess because I never grown up and seen that in my family, I guess because I didn't have many examples of it, I guess I'm just super surprised at how powerful it is when it comes to being successful, when it comes to having all this other shit work out in your life where it just wasn't going to work out. So it's like being in a fight and having the secret weapon in this fight. And it is a union where there is open and honest communication. There is trust. There is love. These are essential at the root of self-actualization. So Venus trine Neptune, a lot of shit that I'm saying is going to sound good, but for a majority of people, it's going, as I'm kind of going through, it's like, damn, how achievable is this for a person who don't even give a fuck if they eat right? People be eating bullshit, but imagine themselves to be completely in the Zen world because they eat bullshit. And I'm just like, how does that work? But I'm just talking. Venus at the end of Libra is known for those who have known what it is they desire, or at least are attempting to formulate what they desire. My whole thing is loving yourself, getting to know yourself, fucking yourself, like getting to a real interesting point about yourself. So this is more or less the realization of Fortuna, the end of Libra. Right? Because Mercury is at the beginning of Libra and Venus is at the end of Libra. So this is fully realized during the end of Virgo, or end of Libra rather. So by this time, I'm just at the point where I know exactly who it is that I love and who it is that I'm focused on and what it is that I desire. And that is myself. I know for a fact that there is a part in me that I just can specifically tune into that will give me the answers. I know this, right? I'm like in a space where it's just kind of crazy. Everything is a miracle. Everything is amazing. Like my energy, my relationships, just me in general, me working out, just a lot of miracles is taking place in my life. And that's because I'm listening and I'm following orders that myself gives me. I don't act as though my conscious mind is the mind that I need to move forward with. I have to tune in. Right now, my ears is ringing, right? I know that the spirit is coming through with some powerful information. And this is spirituality. It is present. It is in the moment. You don't know what it's going to give you, but you know it's going to give you something. So do you know yourself? I know in reference to the article, I was writing how many people just imagine that they know exactly what it is they want. But if I was to say, who are you? They would get to talking about, my name is Charmaine Jackson. I was born in 1992. I am 5'6", 32, 30, 48. Of course I know who I am, hood. What did you mean? And I want a man with this, and I want a car like this, and I want a lifestyle like that. And this is everybody that you know, essentially, right? This is everybody who knows exactly what they want. But then we say, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about who are you at a soul level? Do you know who yourself is? Do you know who your soul is? To my friends, I talk to my mama, I talk to my kids, I talk to my cousin, I talk to my teachers. I talk to a lot of people, hood, but myself, I'm not crazy. Is you one of them crazy people, hood? So, no. I'm saying it's very important to tune in to who you are before you get into talking about what you want. Venus trine Neptune, it's hard to tune in to who you are if you got to worry about your relationship or lack thereof. Because you can act like your ideologies hold you to sleep at night, but it's something about knowing that you should be somewhere or have something, but also feeling like you on the outside looking in. And that's a real feeling, the energy that it can't even necessarily be speaking to because it's so spiritually motivated. It's such of a primal act of giving and being selfless that is the modality of the goddess. And I know, like, ideology say you don't need no man, you don't need no relationship. But I'm saying something contrary to that. And of course, like studying astrology and studying deeper occult things such as marriage, such as sex, such as hormones, all of this shit, sex is nothing to play with. Relationships is nothing to play with. I would say be patient with that and get to know yourself at all costs, right? Get very intimate of your power, your magnetism, your sexual energy. Get very comfortable with these types of things and then allow them to magnetize people into your life and then grow from these relationships. But don't go into a relationship without being soul first. Go into a relationship knowing that you are soul because you've been acquainted, that you've been self-actualized, or you've activated your crown chakra in reference to, the pituitary gland or Mercury. Self-actualization, Venus trine Neptune, is essentially how we can change our lives. But what is self-actualization? I keep saying it. Let's talk about it from a couple of definitions or a couple of quotes and then my personal definition. Let me zoom that in for y'all so y'all can see it out there in radio land. What a man can be, he must be. This weed we call self-actualization. That is a powerful strain. I know that much. It refers to man's desire for self-fulfillment, namely to the tendency for him to become actually in what he is potentially, to become everything one is capable of becoming. That's Abraham Maslow from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So how I translate that is to be fulfilled within yourself, but also have the skills that support this feeling of satisfaction. Some people can say I'm a goddess, but then be like, okay, goddess, can I get $2 so I can catch the bus? I don't give money to broke niggas. Well, when I was doing research, Fortuna had abundance. She could give freely. I'm not that type of goddess. I'm a survivalist goddess. I'm here for survival. I digress. This is a drive and a powerful force within every human being to be who you are to be. And you will never know who you are to be if you're tuning to the outside world. You need to be in a space where you tune into yourself. But a caveat to tuning into yourself is that it's hard to do it if you don't have nobody that has your back. I mean, for me, I could have done all of this shit by myself, but something happened when I started to care and think about my children and my wife. Something transformed within me that I cannot explain. And this is in alignment with who I was becoming. And since I was in alignment with who I was becoming, things started to work out for me. When I was looking for the shit that I wanted, I wasn't never really getting it. But when I started to take care of my household with the energy, with the ferocity, when I started to love with the energy, with the ferocity, everything seemed to work out. So I could only share that. Most people don't really have this privilege though. Most people stay on the outside of this power of self-actualization because they don't want to take care of the basic needs. Their ideologies consume them and at the end of the day, it don't really lead you to nothing but feeling good and not learning about yourself. Because how do we learn ourselves? By just isolating ourselves, staying by ourselves, doing the things that we like? Or do we learn by challenges? Do we get stronger through adversity and these types of things? And I'm not saying that relationships are horrible, but relationships are necessary and relationships are difficult, but they are the thing that activates you and actualizes you in this realm. I don't know why. Like I said, I do not make the rules. I just observe the rules, and they're very interesting once you play it right. So Sun trine Saturn, we're moving into the realm of karma. We're moving into the realms of money. Sun is in the second decan of Virgo, which rules gain. But the second decan of Virgo also is ruled by Capricorn and Saturn. So Sun trine Saturn is essentially doubling down and getting heavy on that actual Capricornian 10th house energy. Your career, your calling, your financial situation, getting all of these energies in order. Now, you could imagine that you got to read a whole bunch of books and you got to learn a whole bunch of lessons. But from my perspective, since it's very earthy, it's very much of a call to get out into nature. So as we see the Sun conjunct Mars, in our last video, in our last weekly update, we talked about Mars trine Saturn and how that was a setup for karma. So Sun conjunct Mars is just an intensity of karmic energy. Now, karmic energy is simply in reference to what you reap based upon what you sow. That's not good, nor is it bad. It's people who are skimming and scamming and something crazy happened to them. And that ain't necessarily a bad thing. It ain't necessarily a good thing, but they sowed the seeds of skimming and scamming. And so they'll get whatever comes with it. And what you see in the world is a lot of karma. What you see from a lot of people is like, and you can imagine like, that's a good ass person, but you don't know what these people be doing in the background. So I just be listening and watching and observing shit like, that's very interesting. Because, you know, it can happen to anybody. But at the same time, I'm trying to learn how to avoid karma out here in these streets, elevate from karma, move into dharma. So Sun loves this constellation. The Sun is moving really fast through Virgo, right? And the energy is very high. If you was outside at all, it's a very powerful energy. The Sun and Virgo energy is so beautiful. Like it makes it to whereas it's like perfect. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it's not too hot. But it's not cold at all. You can wear whatever you want. You can go wherever you want to go. And it's just like the perfect energy. But these times are to be savored. You can move very fast because it's such a right time to just have fun, enjoy yourself, but slow down. Be almost like, my thing is, I'm getting to a point where I'm being almost scientific with making sure that I sow no negative energy. Because what I've learned is that when you move fast, When you are busy and rushed, you are allowing for more mistakes to take place. But when you go slow, even if you do make a mistake, it's like, yeah, it hurt a little bit, but if I was going fast, I would have really fucked myself up. So I take anything slow and understand that everything moves at my pace. All of this pressure is coming from the external. But if you was to slow down and tune into yourself, everything will slow down. Everything is very much reflected on your personal energy and where it's at. And you can choose to sow whatever seeds that you want to sow, meaning that it's people right now that really feel like we are in the middle of something real crazy going on in the world. And they fear to fuck down. They don't know what the hell to do. They like scared as hell because they've been watching CNN all day or some shit like that. Did you see what just happened on the news? No, I ain't see what happened with the news. Yeah, that shit got me scared as hell. Right? So be very mindful that what people are tuning into, the movies that they watching, the music that you listen to, the friends that you talk to, the social media profiles that you got, or that you be watching and shit, they either trying to get you to do something real fast or they trying to tune into your fear. So you could either sow those seeds. I was afraid, so I decided to do that. Anytime you make a decision out of fear, you are making the wrong decision. Anytime you make a decision too fast, you are making the wrong decision. I know people like, no, I be doing, like, imagine if all you did was just make crazy, wild ass decisions all day. You would never, if you don't sit the fuck down and relax for a second, because the moment that you relax, like we talked about this in Kundalini, we've talked about this in Mercury, the pre-retrograde video, the parasympathetic system is you're not being in fight or flight. But a majority of our people are perpetually in fight or flight through the noise from the music, from the visions and the movies and the nightmares and the dreams, and all of these things create a level of over anxious energy. And so every decision you make is because you are imagining this crazy ass situation taking place, and it just don't exist. It only exists because you're tuning into the hypnosis. So move your way from the hypnosis and move into this Fortuna energy, this Mercury retrograde energy, and put your blindfolds on. Put your blindfolds on to the bullshit and tune into your inner self. And if you haven't tuned into your inner self through self-actualization, you owe it to yourself to put the effort into it. So, once again, Sun conjunct Mars and the Capricornian Deacon, people will then think about all of the money that they are making, but that is not in reference to the goddess. That is in reference to the ego, which they will create a means to an end, meaning that they got all the money, but they still not happy. It's ratchet, ridiculous people who get money and still be ratchet and ridiculous. Money don't change it. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is Sun trine Saturn, you don't want to make decisions in relation to money. Even though you can make money, you know that money is not going to be the thing that's going to satisfy you. You know that accomplishing what you set out to accomplish ain't even going to satisfy you if you accomplish it. The only thing that's going to satisfy you is this moment and making the choice to be satisfied in this moment with what you have. If you can choose to do that at any stage of the game, if you are in a cardboard box, you can do it. If you are in a mansion, you can do it. Because the soul doesn't give a fuck about none of this shit. And that's the part that y'all don't really want to deal with. Y'all really imagine that your bodies, your finances, your career matters out here in this street. And never once have you looked at an earth map and a person said, but Charmaine got her CNA over here in Dallas though. Let's stop the world and let's talk about Charmaine's CNA certificate that she just got. She just got her a good ass job too. No, she making 6 figures. Nobody gives a fuck. Because the money that you think is going to make you happy ain't going to make you happy. What is going to make you happy is when you realize who you are. When you realize that money is not the thing that's going to make you happy, but it'll help you get to other shit. And essentially, the things that you get will be magnetized you based on what you have. You might want a Lamborghini right now, but can't afford it. That don't mean you should feel bad for not getting a Lamborghini. It just ain't your time to get it. But if your calling is to get a Lamborghini, the best thing to do is not fixate and go crazy over a goddamn Lamborghini. I would say better yourself, improve your skin, improve your profile, put effort into your career, put effort into yourself, and increase your face card. And then you might get more money. And then once you get that money, you could buy a Lamborghini with the energy that you've manifested and attracted by on who you are, not on what you wanted. Because if everybody want a damn Lamborghini, but who's going to get it? The person who invests in themselves, not the person who just simply fixates on a goddamn Lamborghini. Who's going to get it? The person who puts the Lamborghini on the vision board, or the person who understands what it takes to get the Lamborghini and focuses on what it takes to get the Lamborghini, whether it's credit, finances, or a combination of both. Because essentially, the Lamborghini ain't going to be the end all be all either. It's just a means to another end. What's the ultimate end? Either becoming God or dying. So money is just the means of getting to you to your other goals. So what are your other goals moving into this week? Outside of just this one thing that even if you get it, it ain't going to change it. So the deeper thing is you. A lot of the thing that we've been talking about is sowing and reaping, karma, and all of these types of things. But what does that actually mean in real terms? Because what if do you want me to get some seeds and walk around and drop seeds off in the projects, and the next winter it'd be kale growing in the project cracks of the concrete or some shit like that? Hood? No, I'm talking about sowing into yourself, but sowing into yourself in 3 different types of ways: body, exercise, diet, mind, books, and actually learning, right? Learning and applying. So meditation, spiritual development, going out into nature and things like that, and balancing all 3. If you balance your body, mind, and soul all day, you do not have time for bullshit, because you got a lot of work to do on yourself. That is cause and effect. You cannot say I invested in myself and I did not get anything in return for it. All you will say is I invested in Jermaine, and Jermaine took my money and ran down the fucking hole straw with it. Now I'm out of balance. I haven't invested in myself. I invested in another person. And I'm sorry to say, and this is going to ruffle feathers, and you never heard this before, but that makes you parasitic. If you think a relationship is going to make you happy, what are you going to be towards the relationship? Are you going to make the relationship happy? Are you going to make that other person happy, or are they just there for you? Okay? So essentially, we can't get off of her because she's here to stay. La Fortuna, imagine those coins in her cornucopia, is love energy. She blind. She don't know what the dude look like. He fat. He got missing teeth. And here she goes, just pouring all of this abundance of love and grace on Mr. Fatso. Okay? Y'all not ready for that because it's in reference to parasitic energy. What is the energy that you thrive off of? Do you thrive off Jermaine's energy, or do you thrive off your soul's energy? If you thrive off yourself and you give freely, you understand who you are. But if you're not there yet and you treat people like they owe you something because you don't know how to tune into yourself, and then you got your partner just dumb as hell, you know they dumb, so you just they feed into it. But at the end of the day, if y'all two ain't tuning into your souls and doing what y'all supposed to come down here to do, then one of y'all is being a parasite. But y'all not ready for that conversation. And that essentially is karma. And then as you go through this Mercury retrograde and come out the end of the week, you like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why Jermaine is acting like that. But if you tune into yourself, this is going to create the opportunity for new and expansive relationships, careers, and financial opportunities, because during the Mercury retrograde, you're tuning in to higher celestial consciousness and they're telling you who to deal with. They're giving you discernment. Mercury is not giving you a level of just, you know, everything that is to be right. If you think you know everything there is that is right, then you're going to be misinformed, and thus your feelings is going to be hurt. But if you are able to experience a new expansive relationship, something better, if you're ready to make a change in a career, if you making a change in your financial life, this is the time. But who are you? Sometimes when you think about finances, when you think about careers and you think about relationships, y'all just waiting for somebody to just walk into it and just make it all right. But y'all not doing the shit that even makes it even possible. So in reference to the shit that makes it possible, it's a whole different slew for each and every person out here. But to simplify it and give you a generalized overview scope of what needs to be done to attract the highest level of relationships, careers, and financial opportunities is quite simple. Tune in to yourself. Put the blindfold on, give freely. And if you can't give freely and put the blindfold on, you're just not ready. And just say you're not ready. Finishing up Venus square Jupiter, September 30th, which will take place later in the week to end up this theme of sacrifice. And it's an interesting pattern that the planets make with cuspal energy, which creates a cross in the sky. We have the moon opposed Pluto. We have Venus trining Neptune, but we also have Venus squaring Jupiter. So we'll be talking about Venus squaring Jupiter. But I just want us to take a look at this pattern as we talked about, you know, Jesus's resurrection and sacrifices and things like that. As far as like the news and like what happens on TV, they'll probably do some shit this week where somebody is going to be like the martyr or the sacrifice or the Jesus energy. So just be careful with what you tune in and tap into, because in reference to what the media is an ancient Greek god. Like, it's a powerful entity that is here to lead people astray. And it's kind of weird how people just care more about celebrities. Celebrities are stars. They care more about those stars than the actual stars. And the actual stars don't have anything to do with your endocrine system. Have anything to do with your personal development. But the reason that it's spiritual is because they create the semblance of this divinity through tricks and trickery and edits and all of these particular things that don't represent the reality of what you putting out or who you are in the present moment. Because in the present moment, you might come up and show out any different type of way. And that's the reality. This scripted, beautiful, created aesthetic ain't nothing to do with nature, but it does something to the mind. So the very important part of this actual Venus square Jupiter, and I need to add a picture. So give me a moment. So I want to talk about it. If I can find it. I'm gonna probably have to, I'm not even going to download it. Lucifer, Sigil. How y'all doing today? Okay. This is a depiction of an old theory about how the pineal gland relates to our eyes and vision. The lines represent our physical range of focus. Do you notice a stunning resemblance to a very familiar symbol of the sigil of Lucifer? There is obviously more to this symbol than meets the eye. So what symbol they're talking about, and let me see, I'll move it over so y'all get a better picture of a better view of it. So if y'all can see this little sigil and all of this, when people talk about Lucifer, Satan, and the devil, it's talking about you. It's talking about you. When you activate your chakras, you turn into Lucifer or the devil because you become like God, who don't really exist. It only exists in the people who activate God within themselves. But you never seen somebody walk up to you and say, hey, I'm God, that they be talking about in the Bible. I'm Jehovah, I'm Yahweh. You never seen somebody like that because these are energies. These are concepts that exist within human beings. And since most people don't activate these concepts within themselves, this is regarded for like spiritualism or spookism or something devilish or something evil. Because it's better to control you. It's better to keep you in an inferior mindset. It's better to just have you out here looking dumb versus tuning in and tapping into your higher self. So Venus is the morning star and the evening star. If you read the Bible, they talk about how Lucifer is the evening star. I'll bring it up since we're here. Lucifer, evening star. In classical mythology, Lucifer, the light bringer in Latin, was the name of the planet Venus. As a morning star, as the evening star, it was called Vesper, and it was often personified as a male figure bearing a torch. Lucifer was said to be the fabled. Then this is where they get into crazy shit, right? They start acting like it was an actual person when the light bringer is your pineal gland. The name of the planet is Venus, which would be your third eye, right? Venus rules either your throat chakra or your third eye. You could say that it could be interchanged between Venus and the moon. The moon can rule the third eye, the moon can rule the throat, or Venus can rule the third eye and Venus can rule the throat. In reference to Venus, the moon, and Mercury, these things are like the Holy Trinity of feminine energy. But essentially, our masculine minds, we can't see the goddess in none of this shit. But moving forward, Venus square Jupiter is like getting to the crux of understanding personal power and then magnifying personal power. But essentially, if you don't understand how to relax and tune into your divine energy, then I'm speaking fucking Spanish, French, and German right now. Because people got it hardwired within their brains and psyches to tune into shit that they don't have and things that they probably never even get. You said they just crucified R. Kelly. He guilty. I mean, that might be. I don't know. I don't really get into it, but it's definitely going to be an argument over right or wrong throughout the week in reference to making sure you take off your blindfolds and talk about shit that don't never really matter. Because what if the whole shit with R. Kelly is a Masonic ritual? What would y'all do then? If the whole shit was made up from him, Aaliyah, the whole shit was just completely made up in theater for the masses. Everything Shakespeare said, what did Shakespeare say? Shakespeare, stage, world. He said something about the stage in the world. All the world's a stage. He ain't say some of the world's a stage. He ain't say Charmaine and Jermaine's world ain't a stage and everything else is a stage. No, he said all the world's a stage. So if it's just a play, it's just an act, what you getting so tied up about? And I'm not saying that you getting tied up about it. I'm just saying in general, this is the energy for the week in reference to martyr energy, in reference to why don't you tune into yourself for a little bit. There's going to be a deeper energy that y'all need to watch out on these psychic streets in reference to these healers. I've been doing some psychological studies on the dark empathic energy. These are the spiritual people who leech off the energy of others for various reasons. In reference to leeching off energy, they got specific classes and courses and things of that nature, and it ain't for no benefiting of you. It don't even sound like it's going to benefit you, but they want you to be involved with it. And since you don't have no way to tune in to yourself because your blindfolds is off, you caring about what's happening on the outside world, you going to sign up for this stupid shit. And it's going to be mind control, brain control, because you think that everything spiritual is good. You especially think that everything old and spiritual is good. You wouldn't know spiritual if spiritual knocked you on your fucking forehead. Why? Because spiritual is within yourself. It's your ability to tune into self. If you can tune into yourself, you will notice these dark empathic motherfuckers everywhere you look. Like, oh shit, you use a spirituality for darkness. Everything that you see on spirituality ain't good. What is spirituality? Teaching you about yourself. If y'all don't buy shit from me, that don't matter about your spiritualities. That's a cold game, though. If I'm acting like I can give you something in reference to tuning into your soul, I can't do shit about that. You can make a choice, and this costs free $99 to tune into your soul, meditate, create a vicious aesthetic to tune into your spiritual development. They don't got shit to do with me. For your ass to walk into a nature park and say, fuck the world for a second, it don't got shit to do with me. But if you imagine that the new spiritual motherfucker got the keys to your salvation, or you tapped into the Jesus frequency, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So it's very important to tap into this dark side of spiritual people. What is the dark side of spiritual people? Because y'all don't realize this. Y'all hear what I'm saying, but y'all really don't realize it. This is a surge of dark empathic energy. Motherfuckers gonna come out the woodworks with, hey, guess what? I got some spiritual shit for you. $59.99. No, but you need this shit though. It's the hottest shit in the world. How do you avoid these dark empathic motherfuckers? You gotta lean into yourself. You can't lean into nobody to save you. I don't care how good they look, how old they ass is, how deep they are, how spiritual they is, how weak you are, how out of place you are, how out of touch you are. It does not matter where you are at. You can always tune into celestial frequencies. If a rich man stood next to a poor man and they both looked up, they could all bear witness to Venus as the evening star this evening. and they can all activate their throat chakras and say the thing that they need to say to bring their salvation into their lives. Now, that rich man might need to bring something else. That poor man might need to bring something else, but they need stuff for their personal salvations that can only be found within themselves. And this is the reality. Okay? So going into this week, are you sure of who you are? And if you are sure who you are, if you know that you are psychic, you know that you are spiritual, you know that you are magical, you know that you are a walking miracle, you know that you will guarantee come up with a solution if you are faced with a problem. Why will you always have a solution? Because you are magical, psychic, powerful. You have an inner substance. You have a conversation with God within yourself. You can tune in and tap in to this God force energy at all times. And this is the symbol of Lucifer. Why you think he evil? Why you think they got TV shows about Lucifer that don't even fucking matter? Because Lucifer is within you. Right? Satan is within you. And it ain't evil. These are endocrine glands. You just got we got tricked. We got bamboozled out here in these streets. Okay. So in the week of crazy energy, weird shit happening, don't get caught up by it. Get caught up with yourself. Get caught up with your celestial vision. Get caught up with your alignment. Get caught up with your atonement, your deeper spiritual truth. Get caught up with that shit. Don't get caught up by self-doubt. Like everything that I reference about the soul, you have access to. You have access to crazy riches, crazy success, all types of things. But the barrier between you and your riches, success, and love is your fucking self-doubt. And what is self-doubt? Self-doubt is psychosis or psychotic behavior. Psych meaning tuning into your soul. Osis meaning the disconnection from your soul. If you are disconnected from your soul, you will have doubt. It's not even a doubt, it's self-fact. If my fucking laptop is not connected to the power center, it's not going to turn on. It's not doubt, it's a fact. So your negativity is not even a doubt, it's literally a fact. And there's so much shit going in the world, you have to be focused on something. What do you think is the best thing to focus on? Your email, your rituals, your reflections, your addictions, your technology, everything that's going on. You need to focus on you. Figure out what it is to make your life the best life possible and start doing that shit right now. A life hack for me is that it don't matter if I got money in the bank. This is what Spirit told me. You don't take the money in the bank and be satisfied with the money in the bank. You act like you don't got shit and do the work. Put effort and energy into your shit and don't care about the money. You worried about the money and the money gonna be there. But if you don't do the shit that you're supposed to do, the money might not be there. And it's all related to who you are and what you need to do for yourself. And hopefully that don't lead you into a place of isolation. That leads you into a place of major abundance and major sharing. So to leave this message with y'all and understanding these astrological constellations, the simple thing that I can say to y'all is going within is abundant. So this Tuesday, we have Pambajira, a video on Pambajira. Much requested, much preparation is going into this video. I'm super excited to share. Be prepared for that tomorrow. Wednesday, I'm going to attempt to do probably not Wednesday, Thursday, I want to do a Patreon video. And so in reference to that, just be on the lookout for those 2 videos, but please support my content if you find value in this content. If this content helps you at any way, Hood Mystic 38 is the Cash App. If you got $2 in your Cash App, you know what I'm saying? Invest, sow into the family, sow into this. Because in reference to the money in my bank account that I was saying, I'm talking about $2.99, fam. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and vote me up, because you know, if this content is something that you find value in, support. And if it ain't, and if you can't, please share the video. But don't just share it on your social media, because don't nobody look at your social media. Have a conversation about the content and give a person a reason as to why they might want to watch this video. So maybe they might tune into it, maybe they don't. But in reference to you doing a good deed for the day, you know, sharing your abundance with the world, that's what we're talking about. So thank y'all for tuning in and tapping in. Thank you, Nicholas247 for the donation. Thank you, Chill Math, for the donation. And thank you for everybody who supported thus far. Matter of fact, I've been meaning to do this. Let me go ahead and do this right now. Give a shout out to the people who have been donating on the Cash App. I don't want y'all to ever think that I don't care. So let me shout y'all out right here, because these are the real winners out here in these streets. All of y'all need to learn from these. How do I get to my transactions on Cash App, y'all? I don't know how to work this app. Aw. Y'all need to help me learn how to work this app, because I don't even know how to see my transaction. But trust me, people have been donating to the Cash App, and I want to say thank you. Once I figure out how to work the app, I will give y'all a shout out in my next video. So if this video helped you, go ahead and give a comment. If you watched the video this far, congratulations to you. You are the real MVP. Thank you for helping me out with the algorithms and things of that nature. But yeah.